great today. So if you feel at any point of time that I should stop in this part and I should maybe take the class sometime later, it is okay with me. So the outline of today's class would be covering CA stomach and CA esophagus. So along with that, we'll take some parts of GIST and Barrett's esophagus, post-gastrectomy complications, post-esophagectomy complications. I'll touch upon the GE junction cancer and primary gastric lymphoma, definitely if time permits. So coming to CA stomach, basically the incidence we know it's high in Asia and Latin America and in African Americans. Usually we see this in sixth and seventh decade. So it's the incidence is higher in elderly males and lower socioeconomic status. The molecular pathogenesis of this involves the Helicobacter pylori and the cycle which is responsible for the CA stomach, the molecular cycle is called as the Korea cycle. We'll come on it in the later slide. So other etiological factors for CA stomach is drainage procedures. Like we already know that stump carcinomas in previously done drainage procedures like gastrojejunostomy or a Billroth 2 or a polio gastrectomy or just a pyloroplasty also due to the reflux. There is high incidence of stump carcinoma and smoking and little bit of alcohol intake also is responsible for CA stomach. High salt intake and increased nitroso compounds and smoke diet, that is also responsible. And deficiency of antioxidants is also responsible for CA stomach. You have many other genetic factors also, the hereditary cancers, the syndromes which are associated with this, will come on it later. And as we all know now that the proximal cancers, the most common cancer in stomach is actually in the distal body and the antropyloric region. But now in the western part, the incidence of GE junction cancers due to the high prevalence of GERD, obesity, and Barrett's esophagus as a pre-malignant condition, your incidence of GE junction cancer is increasing and the proximal cardiac cancers are increasing. Okay. So this is a chart taken from Shackelford. So what are the acquired etiological factors? As we already iterated it, it's a high salt diet, high nitrate diet, smoked foods, less antioxidants. Extremely important is the H. pylori. You also have the EBV, the Epstein-Barr virus, which will cause the specific form of CA stomach, which is the lymphocytic form of CA stomach. And then you also have the previous gastric surgery and coal and rubber industries. These workers are also at increased predisposition of CA stomach. Type A blood group also has an increased predisposition along with pernicious anemia. And family history, you have specific genetic syndromes like HNPCC, Lee-Fraumeni syndrome, FAP, AFAP. Then you have the Peutz-Jeghers syndrome. All these syndromes are associated. What are the precursor factors that we know of? The most important that we know of is an adenomatous lesion. Along with that, along with the H. pylori, whatever H. pylori causes will cause the CA stomach. Okay, so it causes atrophic gastritis, it causes intestinal metaplasia, it causes Menetrius disease, it causes dysplasia. Then we also have Menetrius disease, which is also a pre-malignant condition. What are the protective factors? Like for any other cancers, you have this raw vegetables and fruits which have more antioxidants. Then you have the minerals, which is selenium, zinc, and iron, and green tea, which are also protective for CA stomach. Okay, so here we come to the Korea cycle. So as we know, the Vogelian model for CA rectum, the colorectal cancers, you have the Vogel-Fieron hypothesis or the Vogel-Fieron model, the molecular model. Here we have the Korea model for CA stomach. Okay, so usually the CDX2 is a marker for gastric epithelium. Okay, so when it the malignant gastric epithelium, so normally it is devoid of the CDX2 marker. Okay, once it gets infected with H. pylori, it can progress to chronic gastritis, And if it persists, it can give rise to atrophic gastritis. Now, there are two types of atrophic gastritis. You have type A atrophic gastritis and you have type B. So usually the type A is associated with pernicious anemia, and it is an autoimmune condition wherein you have antibodies to the parietal cells. Okay, so that mostly is not associated with H. pylori. You have the type B atrophic, chronic atrophic gastritis, which is associated with H. pylori. Remember this. Okay, so if this at this stage, if there is a mutation in P53, then it will give rise to the diffuse type of gastric cancer. But if the H. pylori infection progresses and the atrophic gastritis attains the marker of CDX2 and there is intestinal metaplasia, okay, so that can give rise to the other precursor lesions like dysplasia, adenoma formation, which will finally give rise to the intestinal type of gastric cancer. Okay, so for this intestinal type of gastric cancer, you have, I'm sorry. For this intestinal type of gastric cancer, you have these mutations are very important. Okay, you have the CDX2 mutation, you CDX2 marker, you have the APC mutation, you have the beta-catenin mutation, and you also have the MLH1 methylation. Okay, the one which is also present in Lynch syndrome. Okay, so these markers are important for intestinal type of gastric cancer, whereas for if you have a P53 mutation, this will give rise to a diffuse type of gastric cancer. Also to remember is if your normal gastric mucosa, which is devoid of this intestinal marker, okay, this intestinal marker will come only when there is intestinal metaplasia. Okay. So if there is a normal gastric mucosa and if there is a germline E-cadherin mutation in this, okay, which happens in hereditary diffuse gastric cancer, that is a CDH1 mutation. Okay, so if this is mutated, then you will get this HDGC, which is the hereditary diffuse gastric cancer. So also other molecular changes which we see in intestinal and diffuse type of gastric cancer is the loss of heterozygosity is at BCL2 gene, and the other overexpression of TGF, all the fibroblast and growth factors that you have, the ERBB2, the HER2 receptors, the TGF receptors, the epidermal growth factor, the VEGF, everything, all these overexpressions are seen in mostly all types of gastric cancer. Okay. Okay, so now other common molecular alterations seen in gastric cancer. This is taken from DeVita. So I have taken most of the, I've covered